Joining us now is trans activist Nicki Ward.
Hi.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
Thanks.
What are you hoping is contained in this?
Well, we don't know yet, but we suspect that it's going to be very similar to the legislation that already exists in Ontario and very similar to the legislation that was tabled in previous parliaments. So a gender identity bill that will provide protection against discrimination on the basis of gender identity and expression.
And so what will this mean then to the trans community in this country? How will life change?
Well, first it has to pass, and we feel very hopeful about this legislation passing, but it's, you know, there's many a slip twixt cup and lip. The hope is that the federal government will come through on its promise, so far so good, of providing protection against discrimination. So there's things like housing, employment, access to social services, education, basic human rights.
And tell us how those human rights aren't being met right now. You're part of the community.
Yes.
What's it like on a daily basis?
Well, it's pretty grim, frankly. We have some protection in Ontario, but there are only, I think, 7 provinces that have formal gender identity protection. And it's a question of enforcement. And of course, without federal protection overriding that, there are a lot of holes to slip through. And the net result of that is that we, as trans people, don't get to contribute fully. And as often social outcasts, the outcomes aren't good. There are a lot of premature deaths and, of course, illnesses associated with it. So it's a pretty grim outlook out there.
When we look south, and I was in Carolina recently, and frankly was appalled to see the situation there, the commercials that were running there about washrooms and who should be allowed to go where. Do you think that when it comes to the opposition here, that it's parallel?
Well, certainly they're using much of the same rhetoric, sort of this Trump-style approach to, you know, this extremist approach, fear-mongering and so forth. So yes, in terms of the rhetoric they're using, there is pretty stiff resistance, yeah. Is
it ignorance? Is it fear? Is it a lack of education? What is it?
Well, frankly, it's a bit mysterious to me. I mean, we talk to regular Canadians, and they're surprised that there isn't already protection for trans people in Canada. I suspect that I'd be surprised if they frankly believe their own rhetoric, because it's not founded in fact. I suspect that they may be using trans rights as a political football to throw back and forth. It's mysterious to me.
But what we're seeing today with the introduction of this bill by the Prime Minister, do you see this as a big step forward? Oh,
very much so. I mean, this is, I think, at least the 4th time it's been brought forward, but now with the full weight of the governing party behind it, it moves up the agenda. I mean, one of the reasons it failed before was because it simply ran out of time. And so now it's moved up the agenda. Another, I think, there appears to be an integrated approach and a very positive approach by the current government. So we certainly feel very positive. Of course, we've been beaten back at least 4 times before, so that's sort of a certain amount of cautious optimism there. We still have to fight.
Nicki, good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you here.